In the silence of the command deck, Commander Jonathan Ryder stood motionless, watching the stars. His ship, the UNSS Pioneer, glided towards the edge of the Sol system to rendezvous with the Gulvarex, aliens whose ships had appeared as silent watchers over Earth 2 weeks prior. The world had held its breath, wondering whether these celestial visitors came bearing the olive branch or the sword. Messages had been sent, all brimming with cautious optimism, asking for parley. When the response came, it was in clear, unaccented English, inviting humanity to meet in the neutral expanse of space. As the Pioneer approached the coordinates, a Gulvarex vessel emerged from the darkness, its sleek design a stark contrast to the more utilitarian human ship. The alien craft was a marvel, a harmony of science and art, leaving the human crew in quiet awe. Ryder's second-in-command, Lieutenant Sarah, broke the silence. "Visual confirmation, Commander. They're signaling us to approach." With a nod, Ryder gave the order to proceed. The crew tensed, a mixture of excitement and anxiety coursing through them as the Pioneer closed the distance. The Gulvarex awaited them in a chamber that defied human engineering, its walls alive with shifting patterns. Their appearance was a blend of the foreign and the familiar, but it was their leader who spoke first, her voice rich with a melody that resonated in the chamber. "Welcome, Commander Ryder. I am Ambassador Thalvik. We have much to discuss, for our two civilizations stand at the threshold of a new era." Ryder extended his hand, a human gesture of greeting that the Gulvarex mimicked. "Ambassador, we come in peace, seeking understanding and friendship." Thalvik's eyes held a glimmer of respect. "Then let us talk, for in dialogue we find the paths to the stars that we both seek to tread." As the meeting unfolded, Ryder could not help but feel the weight of the moment. The first threads of destiny weaving together the future of humanity and the Gulvarex, a tale set against the infinite tapestry of the universe. Commander Ryder sat before the assembled Galactic Council, their chamber a vast hollow carved from an asteroid. Holograms of the member species flickered around him, their forms ranging from the insectoid Threx to the gaseous Swoles. The human delegation was minuscule in comparison, a lone island amidst a sea of interstellar sentience. The discussion began, Ryder outlining humanity's achievements, its art and its science, laying bare Earth's soul without a hint of divine attribution, only human will and intellect. He spoke of Earth's desire for peaceful expansion and collaboration. A ripple of murmurs spread through the council, their intrigue clear. Yet, skepticism lurked within their ranks. An Egran counselor, a creature of pure energy, scoffed. "You bring us tales of a primitive world just stepping out of its cradle. You wield no great power, command no vast armies. How do you expect to stand among us?" Ryder's response was calm, yet assertive. "We bring more than just tales, counselor. We offer potential, a fresh perspective born from our unique experiences, and an unyielding spirit that has overcome every adversity." A Threx delegate clicked its mandibles, a sign of grudging respect. Indeed, there is merit to vigor. Yet, potential is unproven. The trials of the galaxy are harsher than you know. The Gulvarex ambassador, Thalvik, rose to Ryder's defense, her voice resonating through the chamber. "True, the humans are young, but they have shown a remarkable capacity for growth and innovation. We believe they have a role to play in our shared future." A moment of tense silence followed, all eyes on the council's prime arbitrator, who hummed a deep note of consideration. "We shall deliberate this further. However, actions speak louder than words. If humanity wishes to join our ranks, they must demonstrate their capabilities beyond this assembly." Ryder nodded, anticipating such a challenge. "We are ready to contribute, to learn, and to share the burden of responsibility. Give us the opportunity, and we will rise to the occasion." The arbitrator's voice boomed, signifying the end of the session. "So be it. The council will observe as humanity proves its mettle. Fail, and this chamber shall close to you. Succeed, and the gates of the galaxy shall open." As the human delegation withdrew, Ryder knew the real test had just begun. The universe had thrown down the gauntlet, and humanity must brace for what was to come. Commander Ryder and the tiny army stood before a holographic map, studying the terrain of the Tarnis system, a volatile border zone and their proving ground. This small unit, handpicked by Ryder himself, was humanity's best, chosen for their adaptability and tenacity rather than sheer force. The task was straightforward, yet daunting. Aid the Gulvarex in a skirmish against the insurgent Vrak pirates. It was a conflict that had raged in the shadows of the sector, a thorn in the council's side. Captain Li Xiu, an expert in guerrilla warfare, voiced the unit's resolve. "We may be outnumbered, but our spirits are indomitable. We've trained for hostile environments. We can turn the terrain to our advantage. Ryder nodded at his captain's assessment. We have one shot at this, to show the Council what we're made of. We'll use our speed and mobility against the Vrak's brute force. As the tiny army embarked on their shuttle, they were met by the Galvarek's military liaison, General Valtrax, whose hard carapace clicked with each movement. Your task is to secure the mining outpost on Tarnis 4. The Vrak will not expect a formidable defense, especially from newcomers. Ryder clasped the general's offered limb. We won't let you down. We'll hold the outpost. The human soldiers found camaraderie in the alien general's company, their banter a mix of human humor and Galvarek bluntness, forming bonds forged in the anticipation of battle. Upon landing, the tiny army surveyed the outpost, a labyrinth of tunnels and defensive positions, all under the heavy shadow of the besieging Vrak ships. Their plan was simple. Use the outpost's maze-like structure to their advantage, setting traps and ambushes, hitting fast and retreating before the Vrak could retaliate. The humans worked tirelessly, rigging choke points and preparing their limited resources for the coming storm. When the Vrak finally descended, the sky turned dark with dropships. Ryder gave the order, and the tiny army sprung into action. Plasma bolts flew through the dust as the first wave of Vrak warriors met a barrage of fire from unseen foes. The battle was relentless, but the tiny army held the line, their determination unwavering. Ryder fought alongside his soldiers, every command, every decision shaping the fate of humanity's place among the stars. The battle for Tarnis 4 raged on, with the tiny army executing hit-and-run tactics, a dance of death under the dual suns. The Vrak pirates, brawny and formidable, had expected an easy conquest. Instead, they encountered a foe that seemed to materialize from the very dust and vanish like a mirage. Ryder watched as his soldiers, a synergy of various specializations, became a single entity with one heartbeat. Lieutenant Mira Alvarez, an engineer, turned the mining equipment into a network of booby traps, while Sergeant James O'Hara, a sniper, took advantage of the high vantage points, picking off targets with an uncanny precision. The Vrak's numbers were their strength, but also their weakness, as they struggled to navigate the complex environment. Ryder exploited this, orchestrating a symphony of disruption and chaos. At one point, the outpost's central hub became a kill zone, as the tiny army repelled a full-on assault. Amidst the barrage, Ryder's voice cut through, calm and clear, directing fire, calling out flanking maneuvers, and never allowing the line to break. The Galvarek observers, from a secure command vessel, watched in awe as these frail humans displayed a prowess and unity that their physicality belied. The Galvarek general turned to his aide. Observe their spirit. They fight not for conquest, but for each other. For survival. As the tide turned, a message from the Council arrived, intended for Ryder. It was an offer to pull back, to retreat and live to fight another day. But Ryder, with dirt on his face and resolve in his eyes, refused. We hold, he simply replied, his gaze never leaving the battlefield. By the day's end, the Vrak wave retreated, their numbers diminished, their morale broken. The tiny army, though battered, had not yielded. They had proven their worth not in the might of their weapons, but in the unyielding strength of their resolve. As the dust settled, the Galvareks descended, joining the humans in their battered outpost. General Valtrax approached Ryder, his expression one of respect. Commander, today you have shown us the true heart of your people. Ryder gave a weary smile. We stand firm, General. This is what it means to be human. The Vrak defeat echoed across the stars, a testament to humanity's tenacity. The tiny army, once doubted, now stood as a beacon of courage, their valor resonating throughout the galaxy. In the aftermath of Tarnis 4, humanity's stock had risen, but the galaxy is unforgiving. News of a surprise attack on Draxus, a burgeoning human colony, reached Ryder as he and his tiny army were still nursing their wounds. Commander, the Vrak have laid siege to Draxus. General Valtrax's hologram flickered with urgency. They're retaliating for Tarnis. Your presence could turn the tide. Ryder's response was immediate. We'll set off at once. Prepare for our arrival. The journey to Draxus was a race against time. Ryder's mind was a whirlwind of strategy and concern, not just for the battle ahead, but for the innocents in harm's way. The crew's tension was palpable, a mix of dread and a burning desire to protect their own. Draxus appeared on the horizon, its skies darkened by Vrak warships. Ryder and his team docked under heavy fire, joining the colony's ragtag defense force. The situation was dire, the Vrak onslaught relentless, their thirst for vengeance insatiable.
We need to shore up these defenses.
Ryder barked orders as he assessed the perimeter. Lee, I need your squad on the eastern ridge. Mira, rig the central plaza. We make our stand here. The Vrak had not anticipated such resistance, their initial smugness turning to frustration as every advance was met with a storm of defiance. The tiny army, alongside the colonists, fought with a ferocity born of desperation. Ryder was everywhere at once, rallying the defenders, plugging gaps in the line, a figure of inspiration amidst the chaos. Even the youngest colonists were swept up in his wake, finding courage they never knew they had. Amidst a lull in the fighting, Ryder received an encrypted transmission. It was an offer of assistance from an unexpected ally, a faction within the Vrak, disillusioned by the war, offering critical intelligence. With this new knowledge, Ryder devised a counteroffensive. As the next wave of Vrak charged, the colony's cannons roared to life, guided by the precise information. The Vrak faltered, their formations disrupted by the unexpected firepower. The battle for Draxus continued, each day hard won, each night a brief respite to mourn and to mend. Ryder's belief in his people never wavered, their indomitable spirit burning bright against the shadow of invasion. The siege of Draxus dragged on, the colony's fortifications eroded under the relentless Vrak bombardment. Commander Ryder, however, began to see patterns in the Vrak attacks, weaknesses in their armor. He realized the Vrak's hubris could be their undoing. Under the cover of night, Ryder convened with his captains. They're strong, he conceded, but predictable. We'll use that. It's time for a gambit. Lieutenant Alvarez quickly caught on. A feint? Draw them in, and then hit them where it hurts. Exactly. We bait them with what they expect, a stubborn, static defense. Then we strike, Ryder affirmed, outlining a plan that depended as much on guile as on valor. As dawn broke, Ryder's trap was set. The Vrak charged, anticipating another day of grueling inch-by-inch conquest. But as they reached the colony's weakened points, the trap was sprung. Explosions roared through the Vrak ranks, not from the expected defensive lines, but from the sides. Confusion spread among the invaders as Ryder's tiny army, augmented by the newly inspired colonists, poured out of hidden tunnels, striking with lethal precision. Ryder led from the front, his voice a clarion call over the din. The Vrak reeled, their formations shattered. The battle's chaos swept across the sands of Draxus, a tumultuous sea of energy blasts and clashing metal. In the skies above, the tide also turned. The Draxus defense fleet, empowered by the Vrak defectors' information, cut swaths through the enemy ships, their tactics as unpredictable as the ground forces. The Vrak's command ship loomed overhead, a behemoth casting its shadow over the battlefield. Ryder knew that taking it down would deal a critical blow to the Vrak's resolve. He signaled to his air units, directing a concentrated barrage towards the Colossus. With a resounding boom that echoed across Draxus, the command ship faltered, then plummeted from the sky, crashing in a fiery blaze on the outskirts of the colony. As the dust settled, the Vrak forces, now leaderless, retreated in disarray. Ryder's gambit had paid off. The colonists erupted in cheers, their joyous cries mingling with the sounds of victory and relief. Draxus was saved, but more than that, a message had been sent. The humans would not only defend their own but also strike back with cunning and might. The skies of Draxus had cleared, the Vrak threat vanquished. News of the colony's triumphant defense, bolstered by the tiny army's audacious tactics, rippled through the interstellar channels, reaching the far corners of the Galactic Council's domain. Commander Ryder and his unit were summoned to the Council's grand chamber once more. As they strode in, a silence fell over the assembly, a stark contrast to the earlier indifference. Respectful glances replaced dismissive sneers. The Prime Arbitrator rose, their voice ringing clear. Commander Ryder, when last you stood before us, doubt shrouded humanity's place among us. Your actions have dispelled the mist. Draxus stands, and with it, your right to stand among us. A chorus of assent spread among the councillors. The Igrin, once Ryder's critic, now dipped their luminous form in a bow. Humanity has shown its valor and strategic acumen. You have earned the Council's favor. General Valtrax took a step forward, their voice solemn. The Galactic are honored to have supported humanity's trial by fire. We seek to forge an alliance, to learn from your resilience. The Council concurred, initiating a vote that passed with unanimous support. Humanity was to be granted provisional membership, with full rights to follow upon the establishment of interstellar partnerships and contributions. As Ryder listened, a sense of accomplishment washed over him. His mind briefly wandered back to Earth, to the blue oceans and green fields. They had done more than defend a colony. They had changed humanity's destiny. The meeting concluded with a formal invitation to collaborate on a joint operation, a signal to the galaxy that humans were not just survivors, but partners, innovators, and warriors. Ryder's journey back to Earth was triumphant. He looked to his crew, to the tiny army that had stood against the tide, and saw the embodiment of humanity's spirit. They had been tested and had emerged not just unscathed, but emboldened and united. The return of Commander Ryder and the tiny army to Earth was met with jubilation. Crowds thronged the landing sites, eager to welcome back the heroes who had defended not just a distant colony, but humanity's place in the cosmos. News channels across the globe broadcasted the celebrations, and Ryder's name became synonymous with human courage and strategic genius. In the weeks that followed, Ryder was invited to speak before the United Nations, where he recounted the trials and triumphs of his unit, emphasizing the strength found in unity and diversity. His message resonated, echoing the new era of human galactic involvement. Meanwhile, diplomatic channels buzzed with activity. Earth's provisional membership in the Galactic Council opened doors that had once seemed permanently sealed. Ambassadors from various alien civilizations visited, bringing with them technologies and cultural exchanges, fostering a network of cooperation that spanned star systems. Amidst these advancements, Ryder took a moment to reflect. He visited the memorial erected for those who had fallen, his thoughts a mix of pride and sorrow. The cost had been real, paid in the lives of brave souls who believed in a dream larger than themselves. His reverie was broken by a call from General Val Trax, now a trusted ally and friend. "Commander, the Council has requested our presence. A new mission awaits, one that promises to be the cornerstone of our joint defense strategy." Ryder nodded, feeling the familiar stir of duty. "We'll be ready. Humanity has more to contribute, and we will stand by our allies, as they stood by us." As the tiny army prepared for their next deployment, Ryder looked up at the stars. They no longer seemed distant or indifferent. They were part of a greater tapestry, one that humanity was now weaving into. The galaxy watched as Earth rose, not as a silent observer, but as a vibrant leader ready to face any challenge. In Ryder and his soldiers, the galaxy saw not the size of the army, but the unyielding spirit of humanity, a force that could turn the tide of fate. And as Ryder set off towards new adventures among the stars, he carried with him the hopes of Earth, a planet no longer confined to watching from the shadows, but stepping boldly into the light of the universe.